How do you stay close to friends and family once you're out of college?
So one thing that I've really embraced in my life is kind of creating new traditions. And I think that when I was younger, I kind of expected my relationships with my friends and family to stay close. When I was very young, it wasn't even my responsibility. I had a responsibility of my parents. But as I got older, I realized that if you're not proactive about staying close, then you don't stay close. And one of the things that I've realized is that you can be the one who creates new traditions. And one of my New Year's resolutions for this year is to set up more traditions in my life. And some of the traditions I've set up have been so rewarding. One of the traditions that we have in our family now is, we all go away for Christmas together for a week. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great for a lot of reasons. Going away is great because neither mom has to
worry about cleaning up
and all that
keeping
stuff.
Things in order.
Yeah. But it's also great because you get everyone outside of their normal environment and you kind of get them to open up their minds and relax and kind of let go of things. And we end up spending, that's most of the quality time that we spend as a family together is during that time. And so that's been a tradition we've had for 5 or 6 years now that I never want us to stop having. Another tradition that I started years ago was doing a trip over the summer with friends, usually to Europe. More recently without kids, which is nice. Before that, we didn't have kids, so I guess always without kids. And once again, I kind of noticed this trip doesn't happen by itself. It doesn't just organically happen. Someone actually has to be the catalyst for it happening. But everyone gets a ton out of it. Everyone really enjoys it. Everyone loves it. And someone just needs to kick it off. Another tradition that we've created as of late is, a lot of people growing up, not a lot of people, some people growing up had summer homes and stuff. And I don't like owning homes or things. And so one thing that we do is we find an Airbnb we really like. And we book it 3 or 4 times during the summer, way ahead of time. It's kind of like a fake summer home. It's like someone else's summer home. And as a result, we email all of our friends and we say, hey, who wants to come? And we basically, hang out with our friends and our kids in a cool Airbnb for a weekend. Just a weekend, nothing crazy. But as a result, it's awesome when summer arrives because we've planned this thing and now we get to kind of bear fruit. And if a week before you're trying to plan this, it's stressful and who can come and there's a good Airbnb available. But if you knock it out in the winter or the spring, then by the summer, bam, it's happening. And so I in some ways, I wish I had kind of figured this out earlier. In some ways, I think when I was younger, I was afraid that people might not want to do these traditions. I was afraid I would plan someone and no one would want to come.
That fear of rejection.
Yeah, and I've it's so funny because whenever I say that to my friends, they're like, you plan the best things, and if we're available, we're definitely coming. But in my mind, I always have that we're going to reserve an Airbnb for the weekend and no one's going to show up. and so it's always just been helpful to not fake myself out. And if there's no one in your friend group or your family group who's creating traditions, you do it. And you'd be surprised at how people will kind of gather to you. And it's funny because the last tradition that I'm trying to create, one of the traditions I'm trying to create very lately, is a tradition of having a family dinner with my friends once a week. And, all of us have kids now, or a lot of us have kids now, so it's a little bit trickier. But once again, there's still this fear. I'm one of the better cooks out of all of our friends, but there's still this fear of if I cook, will anyone come to eat? And once again, when you ask my friends, they're like, I'm looking at what I was gonna eat and what you emailed, and like
The choice was obvious.
And also, it was like I was going to pay for what I was going to eat, and you're not making me pay. This just seems really good. But it's still intimidating. It's still intimidating, and so I think one of the things that I would advise my younger self is start creating traditions sooner, and like, they don't have to be expensive, they don't have to be ritzy, but I think that you'll feel far more rewarded. Your relationships will be a lot stronger if you kind of have more of these as opposed to less.